We are in a climate crisis. We are facing the horrid effects of climate change and global warming. It is due to the chlorofluorocarbons that are getting trapped in our atmosphere. As we humans create and rely more on technology, there's one thing that remains constant, and it is the global demand for energy. Most of our energy is obtained through non-renewable energy, such as coal and natural gas. As of 2014, coal is responsible for 41% of the world's electricity generation, and it produces tons of carbon emissions left to be released in our atmosphere. Most likely, this is because that coal is a good source of energy, it's abundant, and it's cheap. The problem we face is how can we pursue more energy without further compromising our environment? The answer is simple. We just have to use more and more clean energy. The world is making a global effort to maximize the use of clean energy in order to do their part for the environment. Some of which are solar and wind energy that is being utilized for the clean energy movement, being adapted by many countries all over the world, which aims to refuse the use of fossil fuels and utilize clean energy. But only if that was the case. We are at risk of losing clean energy. In 2016, the most recent year with available data, only 5.2% of the global electricity came from solar and wind energy. The share of global electricity coming from clean energy sources has risen from 30% in 2012 to 32.3% in 2016. However, this is still very much under the level of clean electricity in 1995, which was at 36.4%. And we are still increasing the use of coal over the past few years. Some countries such as India, Indonesia, and Turkey contribute to the increasing use of coal in their electricity. Coal remains as the most polluting source of energy, as it generally emits twice the much of carbon dioxide as natural gas, which is its main competitor. We are in an energy crisis. With the advent of this, we would like to advocate a solution. A clean energy source that has little to no carbon output and is far safer than any other energy source. Nuclear energy. Yes, you heard me right. Nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is very reliable. It can produce energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, compared to some renewables like solar and wind, which only produces energy 30% of the time. Furthermore, nuclear energy is highly energy dense. If you would take a Rubik's Cube worth of nuclear energy, that can power all your needs for your whole lifetime. And this only needs to be processed in a single power plant. As for landmass, wind farms needs up to 360 times as much land area just to produce the same amount of electricity as one nuclear energy facility. In comparison, solar farms would need 75 times as much land area for the same amount of electricity as well. This is just so that you could produce 1,000 megawatts annually. The question now is, why aren't we using more nuclear energy? Nuclear energy consists of many misconceptions by the public. This is most likely due to the disasters and accidents that has happened in the past. Some of the most notable are Fukushima and Chernobyl. But there's also another problem with nuclear energy, is that there's not enough global demand, despite current technology making it easier to build these power plants. As for the global production of nuclear electricity, we have 2006, 2012, and 2017. In 2006, we reached our peak at 2,661 terawatt hours. However, we reached our bottom in 2012 with only 2,346 terawatt hours produced. And in 2017, we have 2,497 terawatt hours. Now, if you would compare 2006 to 2017, we had a 6.6% drop of nuclear electricity. People don't like nuclear energy. They have a mindset to have a fear for nuclear energy because of the adverse effects and disasters it can and already has caused to our world. Nuclear is rather an unpopular energy source, despite it being clean, safe, and reliable, in contrast to coal, which is the world's leading contributory factor in climate change. We believe that nuclear energy must be looked at again, as it has the potential to save our planet in reducing global chlorofluorocarbon emissions. Unbeknownst to many, nuclear power plants is the safest energy source. This chart shows the death rates from air pollution and accidents related to energy production. This is measured in deaths per terawatt hours. As we can observe, nuclear energy is clearly the safest among its fellow energy sources. This is due to the tightened security and safety measurements being taken into consideration in nuclear power plants. Now, it is much safer than ever before. As for waste disposal, nuclear power plants produce nuclear waste from all the processes. It can still be dangerous, of course, because they are indeed radioactive. However, we are now properly managing these wastes. Nuclear power plant doesn't even produce as much waste in the first place. If you would only consider 30 grams of fuel is used for one person annually. Furthermore, these nuclear wastes are being stored safely. Yes, we are storing these wastes, and some are even being recycled, while others are being disposed properly. The disposal method will only take place once the waste decays its own radioactivity to such a point that it can be easily managed and be safely disposed of. Nuclear energy is one of the only energy sources wherein waste is properly managed and disposed. In contrast to coal, where chlorofluorocarbon emissions are just being released in the atmosphere to wreak havoc on our environment. Such events cause 4.2 million deaths due to air pollution annually, according to the World Health Organization. The International Energy Agency and the Nuclear Energy Agency made a roadmap wherein it made the case that if we double our nuclear capacity to 930 gigawatts by 2050, we could restore our nuclear energy share back to 70% of the global electricity supply. If this were to come true, we can fundamentally reduce the worldwide carbon dioxide emissions by 2.5 gigatons. This is equivalent to 1/7 of the power sector cleanup needed so that we can limit this century's global temperature rise to only 2 degrees Celsius. We are stressing the importance of nuclear energy. If governments, reactor suppliers, and plant operators would work together for the needs of our energy-driven world,
through nuclear energy, we can create a cleaner and safer source of energy
for our world,
and for our environment.
and for our environment.
and for our environment.
and for our environment.